Okay, I think most of you possibly already know me. I've been working for APL Italiana for a few years before we became SimCorp Italiana. And before introducing the main topic, I'd like to introduce my team. It is the risk management developing team, and there are 6 of us. We are mainly graduated in mathematics, physics, and we have an actuary. And here we are. This is my team. In SimCorp Italiana, we do a lot of pair programming. We really love pair programming. It's very efficient. But some of my team, Captain America and Spider-Man, they prefer to work alone. I can see, yes, Captain America is over there. And we change couples, and among the couples inside the team, the best couple is our magic team, this one. And the chap on the left is the one that in the previous slide was a Spider-Man, and is without glasses, and he is there, Francesco. You might have listened to him in Sicily when he was talking about file compression. And the chap on the right is our guru, is Michele Bellon. He has a few hair, and he's a quite grumpy person, but he's very, very bright. Okay, this is my team, and then we are going to talk about our application. It's called Sophia. It is not this one, but it is this one, SimCorp Sophia. As you can see, she's young, she's beautiful, she's technological, she has a smartphone, and she's in her late 20s or early 30s, I can't remember, I should ask her dad. I can't see him right now, but he can't say her age. Yeah, 30. Okay, thank you. And Sophia is an integrated system for institutional investors as an insurance company. It's a position-keeping system, and it has quite a few risk management modules. And go ahead, I should talk about pricing, but before introducing the idea of pricing, I should introduce what a bond is. Not this chap, but this chap here. So a bond is a debt instrument, and bonds are issued by government or corporate entities to finance current expenditure or finance future investments. And at this point, I should explain you what a fair price is, because I think that not all of you are familiar with the idea. How many of you know what a fair price is? Can you? Okay, so less than I thought. I thought that at least 1/3 of the audience would know, but I think it's much less. So I decided, before introducing fair price, I decided to use my boyfriend as a guinea pig to test this explanation of fair price, and I Googled fair price for dummies. And what I've obtained, it was this. That means there is no fair price for dummies. I mean, it's not rocket science, but I can talk of it in half an hour. It's beyond the scope of this presentation. So you will be happy to know that we will skip all this slide I did at the beginning. So we won't talk about this because I suppose you don't really care. And we go straight to our point, to the, no, let me say, you know that most of the bonds are listed in the market, in the stock exchange, but there are some of them that are not listed. And an insurance company needs to know the value of its portfolio for accountancy reasons. So it needs to have a price for not listed bonds. And what is the fair price of a bond is more or less what would be the price it would have if it was listed. So not too high, not too low, but the fair price, the price, a sensible price for it. And at this point, we can introduce what we had in Sofia. I did these few slides. In the beginning, there was the pricing, and the pricing was with engine, and that means simply that we had an engine that did just pricing. We didn't have a true engine. It was just a function of a pricing we had. So we had this function. We read from file the security information of the bond and other market information. So credit spread. I won't tell you what credit spread is. Let's not go there. You have just to know that we had a function reading that from the market and another function reading the interest rate curve for each currency. And we put all this information here, and we obtained a fair price. But then, and this was before until the end of 2005. Then in 2005, at Christmas, around Christmas, the Italian regulator decided to do a nice Christmas present to the insurance company. And he asked them to analyze the behavior of the portfolio under market stress, such stress as interest rate, foreign exchange rate, credit spread, equity indices. And we end up with the stress test module that went live in June 2006. And this module is based on the full repricing of the portfolio. We could have used our previous function and run the functions twice. So one with the market data and another time with distress data. But that would have been really inefficient and really time-consuming. So we decided to create our engine, that is an operator, And because I'm Italian, and I think you already know that for us, for Italians, everything has a sex. So our machine is female, she's pretty, she's gorgeous, she's a stunner. And here is our engine. And you can see at the bottom there is FP, like fair price. Okay, let's go ahead. So with this new engine, we had to read from file the security information, the market data once, and then we localized these two functions, get SPR and get curve. So they could manage, the get curve could manage two curves, the market one and a stressed one. And the get spread could manage two different spread, the market one and a stressed one. And at the end, we had a stressed price. And in this module, you can stress the market curve in different way. So this is the euro market curve and a stressed called tilt. And once we did that, as a side effect, as a freebie, we could implement just in a few lines the effective duration. The effective duration is just the first derivative of the price respect to a vertical shift of the interest rate curve. So we did a stress of 1 basis point of the market curve, and we obtained the shift of the 1 basis point of the curve, and we obtained a fair price, P plus. We did another shift of the market curve of -1 basis point, and we obtained another price, P minus. This is the incremental ratio, so this is the a proxy for a first derivative. And in the function, you can see that we read the market curve with this read curve, and we have our market curve, the curve less 1 basis point, and the curve plus 1 basis point. The following step, once we had, once our machine, our engine could calculate the fair price and the stress test, we had the idea of integrated with our asset liability management module. This module at that time has had already a long life because it was already 15 years old, and he had his own pricing. So we decided to unify to calculate the forward curve and the prices needed by the asset liability module with our engine. Let's just say 2 more words about the asset liability management module. So this module does future forecast of the portfolio cash flows and prices for asset and for liabilities. The time horizon is of a few years, 5 for the Italian regulator. a few years, and we need to calculate a forward curve for every end of the month for 5 years. We have to calculate prices and also, cash flows, accrual, callable bond. We can do a hypothesis on credit risk scenario and interest rate and liquidity data. So here I have an example of one curve and its forward curve. This image is courtesy of not Spider-Man, sorry, I can't remember the name. Superman, yeah, Superman there. He did that for me, was really kind. So this is the ALM module. We have to deal with the family of curves and with the different kind of spreads. We localize these two functions, and we obtain forward cash flow and forward prices. And because we don't need, the fair price engine doesn't need any holding information, we could just introduce fictitious bond, fictitious asset, and introduce a mechanism of rebalancing according to an asset allocation target. But let's go to have a look to the code. Up there, here, in the top left corner, you can see the function get curve in the fair price module. So it just reads the curve. Underneath, you can see in the environment of ALM module, you can see that the function has been reassigned a few times. So this one is according to the IOPA request of stress of 2011, and the second is another stress the regulator asked the company to perform in 2013. And then on the right-hand side, you have the get curve in the general ALM case. So as you can see, it doesn't not only read the curve, but it calculates these FPDT are the forward, are the end of the month for the next, for example, 5 years. This function calculates the forward curves, the discount factor, and then the curve, forward curves, and it does spline interpolation. Okay, so this is the same function, and yeah, I could use the pointer, but I can't read not that and not even that. So I may need a pair of glasses. Okay, as you can see, we localize. Here. We localize the same function twice, and we reassign in 2 different cases. This function is FP rescale. Then we localize and reassign 1, 2 times the function SPR corp, and then we do the same with this one. And this is the list of all function and variable we localize and we put in a kind of namespace, and we pass it to our operator, to our fair price engine. Okay. A step again. After the financial crisis of 2008, the Financial Accounting Standard Board asked the companies to perform another test called SPPI benchmark test. In this test, you have just to calculate the cash flows of some spatial bonds and compare them with the cash flow of some plain vanilla bond. So do you want I tell you what is the difference between these two bonds? Because I don't know if you really care. You know, I mean, when they asked me to do this presentation, I was flabbergasted. I said, oh gosh, how I'm going to explain what we want to do, and because our engine does a lot of different things and take a lot of different inputs according to the different modules we are. So, for example, for the interest rate curves, we have one curve for the fair price, two curves for the stress test, and many curves for the LM. And we have different kind of spread we manage, but we don't go there in the spread and credit risk scenario. And we have also different kind of output. So prices for the stress test module and for the value at risk module, and just cash flow for the SPPI benchmark test, or prices, cash flow accruals, durations for ALM. So then a step more happened in 2014, when what we all thought it was impossible became reality. You might not have noticed, unless it's your birthday, but the 11th of June 2014, it was a really an epochal change. The European Central Bank introduced the negative interest rate. So, and that's when the black model of pricing stopped working. The black model says that the distribution of forward interest rate is log normal, so you can't have negative interest rate. And at that point, all the software house who managed with this stuff, they panicked. And they all have to decide to, as quick as they could, to do something about it. And we decided to change model. So we introduced, and there was, in fact, our magic team with our Superman there and the grumpy chap that is in Milan in this moment. And they decide to implement a LIABILITIES model. So right now, we have two different engines that are integrated one with the other. So this is the old one with closed formula, and this is the Hollow-White-based one with Monte Carlo simulation. Okay, I think I'm almost at the end, but I'd like to tell you, because this is a problem we have with our client, because in my team, the programmers are not just programmers, but we do also consultancy for our modules for our client. And sometimes they call us and they say, oh, I obtained absurd results. And the first thing we are going to check is the market data they put in the engine, because it doesn't matter how smart is your engine, but if you put rubbish in it, then you can just have rubbish as an output. So, and we do that, yeah, we do a lot of support for our clients. So at the end, at the beginning, there was just the pricing. At the end, there was the engine with all the module based on it. So I couldn't talk about all this model. That would have been interesting, but it would have taken a few hours more, and I think you would have hated me. So, and last but not least, I'd like to thank my team, because they do for 2 or 3 weeks my shift of general support to the clients, so I could work on this presentation. And I have to thank also this girl here, that is Ambra Carabelli, and she is our graphical design, and she helped me to put all this stuff together in a few hours. So thanks to my team and to Ambra. That's all. Mm-hmm.